Hi everyone, it's Miss Rossi. Today we're going to be coloring in our texture bears that we made last week. What you will be needing today is your bear picture from last week. You're also going to be needing something to color with. I'm going to use colored pencils today because we have so many tiny little details to color in. I think these are going to be perfect to get in all of those small spaces nice and neatly. I also have a pencil sharpener to help me keep my colored pencils nice and sharp so I can get in those small details. If you don't have colored pencils at home, you can use any other supply you would like to add color. If you would like to use markers, crayons, paint, whatever it is you have, you can use. So last week we got to draw our bears. We created all different kinds of patterns in our bear's sweater where we repeated different kinds of shapes and different kinds of lines over and over again to create different designs. And then we also added texture in our bear's face by repeating short little lines over and over again all the way around to create the texture of fur. So when we're creating art and we want something to look like it feels a different way than our normal flat paper, we can always use repeating lines and shapes to create patterns that imply the idea of texture or make you think that there is a different feeling to that area of the paper than there would be if it was left plain and blank. So what we're going to do today is just color in our picture as neatly as possible. We spent a lot of time drawing our designs and adding our texture, so we really want to be careful when we color in our picture today that it is the absolute best we can make it. I'm going to start by coloring in the patterns on my bear's sweater today. Now you can color your picture in however you would like, but since we did spend all these times creating these amazing patterns, it's important for us to color those patterns in really nice and neatly. So I'm going to look at all of my patterns and all the individual shapes and lines I have in my sections and try my best to color those in to enhance the pattern and make it a little bit more interesting. So in this top section, I'm going to color my circles all the same color. Then I'm going to focus on those striped sections, and I can even make more patterns using my colors. So maybe I want to make the backgrounds behind my circles repeating colors as well. Because not only can we create patterns using our lines and our shapes, we can also create patterns using color. So I can color the background of this section in pink, and then I can color the background of the next section in a different color, like maybe I could do that one blue. And I can repeat that pattern by going pink, blue, pink, blue. So I can do this one blue, and then once I fill in the next one, it's going to be pink again. And then I'm going to have this one blue and pink and blue, pink, blue, all the way down. And that is going to create an even more exciting looking pattern than just the normal lines and shapes I had to start with. So while you're coloring in your sections, instead of just coloring all of it one color, try and come up with different ways you can make your patterns more interesting and more developed with your colors. And you'll notice as I'm coloring, I'm going nice and slowly back and forth in one direction. I want to make sure I'm staying inside the lines as best as I can. Again, we drew these patterns and we spent a lot of time making sure our bear's sweater looked really nice. So while I'm coloring it in, I want to be extra careful making it as neat as possible. And as I'm coloring in these sections and I'm staying inside the lines, I'm also making sure that I am not leaving any white space. So I am filling in these spaces as best as I can, going back and forth nice and slowly. With colored pencils, I think it's easier to draw nice and lightly. You can always go back over the top with it again, but if you press really hard going back and forth with your colored pencil, it's going to start to look more like a scribble instead of looking like a nice filled in neat little area. Now I have these little gaps left, and again I can make that another pattern. So I have a darker yellow I can use to fill in some sections, and a lighter yellow to fill in those other spaces. So I'm just skipping one as I'm filling in with my yellow colored pencil. Now I have a lighter yellow I can use for the other sections. Again, coloring nice and slowly, back and forth, staying inside the lines and filling up those white spaces. There we go. So I'm going to use that same idea in my other sections on my sweater. So I'm going to look at my next pattern and think, how can I make that pattern more interesting and exciting? How can I add colors in a way to make new patterns within what I already drew? So maybe I want to create a pattern with these lines that I have going down where I'm alternating different colors or going from one color to another and repeating those back and forth. Maybe I can do the same thing in my triangles. Maybe instead of doing different colored rows, I can have my triangles become the pattern where I can alternate the colors of my triangles. So instead of having a pattern with the rows inside, there's a pattern with the individual triangle shapes going across my sweater. It's totally up to you how you want to color yours in. Just try and come up with the craziest design patterns you can. So I'm just going to go in and fill in the rest of my bear's sweater with my colored pencils. And that is my next row of patterns finished. So I have 3 different colors alternating in the background stripes that I created. And then I have 2 different sets of colors alternating in my triangles. And I have them going from 2 different blues to yellow and orange, back to the blues, back to yellow and orange. And within my triangles, I also changed up my pattern a little bit too, where here I started with dark blue and ended with light blue, but then when I went to my next blue set of triangles, I started with my light blue and ended with my dark blue around the edge, ultimately going back to the original colors that I chose in that final little piece I had left, and I had that same flip-flop happen in my yellow and orange. So you can really get crazy with the way that you're creating patterns and how you're using them in your sweater design. So I'm just going to go in and finish the rest of my sweater quickly, and then we'll work on the rest of our paper. And that is my bear's sweater all finished. So down towards the bottom, I created a repeating pattern with my diamond shapes here, where I had my colors alternating on the way out, and then they changed from pinks to blues and greens and purples and repeated over and over like that. Your patterns don't have to just change between 2 sets of colors. Here I created a striped pattern using all of the colors of the rainbow, and I just had those repeat in the same order over and over again. So if you'd like to use multiple colors to create a pattern, you can do that. Just keep them in the same order as you repeat them. Now that I finished my bear's sweater, I'm going to look at the background. Now I can color in the background behind my bear whatever color I would like. I'm going to try and pick a color that I don't see as much of in my sweater so that there is a little bit of a difference here between my bear's sweater and the background. I think I'm going to use red in my background because I only have a little bit of red in my sweater. And as I'm coloring in my background, I am going to go super carefully to fill it in with my colored pencil. Now I don't want to scribble back and forth, so I'm very lightly coloring in, going back and forth in one direction. I can always go over the top of my colored pencil a second time to make that color darker. I think that always looks better than pressing really, really hard the first time around, because then you're going to again get those really harsh looking scribble lines. So I'm just very, very lightly gliding my pencil back and forth, going in the same direction to fill in the space. And you can pick whatever color you would like. If you drew a design in your background behind your bear, you can color that in however you would like as well. Maybe you wanted to put another pattern back there. That would look really, really cool, and you can color that in however you would like. So you'll notice I'm just filling in this entire background space, carefully going around my bear's head, just going back and forth in an up and down motion. And I'm going to meet in the middle, starting again on the other side, doing the same thing. And now if I want my red background to be a little darker, I can go back over the top, and instead of coloring up and down like I just did, I can color from side to side horizontally, again in another nice light layer. And that is called cross hatching, when we color in one direction and then we color over the top of it in the opposite direction. And this will just add a nice even layer of colored pencil in our background, and it will help fill in all of those little white spaces that we could still see. So again, instead of moving with my colored pencil going up and down, now I'm filling it in going side to side to make my color a little bit darker. But again, I am still pressing nice and lightly to fill it in. There we go, and now I have a nice even layer of red all in my background. The last thing left on our picture is our bear's face. Now we already drew all of those little tiny lines on our bear to create texture. So if you want to leave your bear's face white and just let the black lines that we drew act as the fur and as the color on its face, you can do that. Or if you want to take some lighter brown colors, or really whatever color you would like to fill in your bear, you can very lightly color over the top of our lines to color your bear in. And just like we did with our sweater and our background, we're going to color nice and lightly with our colored pencil to fill in this space, going back and forth in one direction to lay down a nice even layer of color. And I'm going to pick a slightly different color brown to fill in the snout. This one is a little lighter than the one that I did on the face. And there we have it. My picture is fully colored in. All of the white space has been filled in. I did my absolute best work trying to color as neatly as possible, going back and forth nice and slowly in all the different sections of my patterned sweater, of my bear's head, and in the background. Once you're finished with your project, you can take a photo or a video of it and upload it on my Canvas page. I can't wait to see the beautiful, colorful, crazy patterned bears in sweaters that you guys have created. Try your best, have fun, and get creative, and I'll see you soon. Bye!